Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. Usual hosts, Tom and Sam, but this week we're joined by a very, very special guest, the champ that is Josh. How are you doing, mate?
Hey boys, how's it going? I'm good. I'm really good, thanks. How about you two?
Very well, mate. Very well. Hoping for some goals tonight and some clean sheets in the right places. And yeah, let's not send me to bed in a foul mood, mate. Which at the moment, much like you, Josh, by the sounds of it, I am going to be in one.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, I'm sure the second halves will be better because these first halves haven't gone well at all, to be honest.
You can only go one way, right?
So what we thought we'd cover. Both Sam and I have played our wild cards this week in the season long game, so we're going to get some thoughts from Josh on what we've done there. Similar to our second chance team as well. Just see what he thinks about our picks. And then I think, we didn't have the latest fixtures when we did our last video, so it's a good chance to go through those and talk strategy really on dealing with the double game weeks and the pandemonium coming up. So I think if we, sorry mate,
Let's do it. I was going to say, let's do it, mate. Awesome. Sounds good.
you happy to go first, Sam? I can whack your wild card up on the screen.
Um, yeah, mate, go for it. I'll pull it up.
All right, you're up.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, I needed to wild card because I think I was in total disarray. I've done it across the board actually, not only in FanTeam, but an FPL where you look at it like three, four, three Chelsea assets and thinking, Reece James is injured for X amount of time. Just press the button, got it done, and I kind of stuck with De Gea in goal, thinking he's going to be a good asset at some point, and I'm still waiting for that some point. Um, so yeah, I kind of instantly regretted that last night when Maguire got absolutely spun, and I know De Gea couldn't do anything about it, and he's been in great form. So yeah, a little bit frustrated I went with him, but happy that I chose a triple Man City. I think at the moment they just look imperious. They're always good in and around Christmas and the New Year and just after, and that led a little bit of my decision making towards that. Obviously, there might be a little decision to make in sort of the next 5, 6 game weeks, dependent on what happens with the Premier League and can Liverpool, sustain and will City drop any points. But at the moment, Laporte, Cancelo, Diaz, yeah, I really, really like that. And because I don't particularly want an option from midfield or wouldn't favour an option from midfield, just stuck it all at the back. Kept Trent, or obvious reasons for Trent. Salah and Jota, obviously I'm on the wild card, so getting Salah back in. I think he's fairly low owned this week as well, isn't he? Which is, I mean, whether he'll start or not, I don't know. But looking, to that double game week for Liverpool with Jota and Trent there, I feel like it was a no brainer. Bowen, obvious reasons. Bowen, he's been a fantastic asset all season, and he's just going to be in there unless he gets injured for me. Coutinho, I went with Coutinho for the little bit of a 4 or 5 game run. Can easily be switched out for someone, and um, I think he was going to start under Gerrard, and I know he started tonight. So let's see how that one goes. Kane, we're just talking about this off air, weren't we? I actually had Son penned in, but just Kane's just looked pretty good the last few games, and that 2 goals against Brighton just made me sort of restructure the side a little bit and get Harry Kane in. And again, with a double coming up, it's a really nice option. Edouard up front, thought what a fantastic fixture versus Norwich for him to sit on the bench. Now I'm going to get past that subject very, very quickly. Again, an easy move if needed, but I think with the depth I've got on the bench, he should be absolutely fine. The double up for Arsenal and for Arsenal with Tierney and Martinelli. I think Martinelli's been, in terms of stats, he's been fantastic. I think he's only going to get better. It looks a real good kind of fifth midfield option, so that's why I chose him. Tierney, I've talked about Tierney on the previous one. Really, really like him. And then it was between Dennis and Brozier. I think with the uncertainty around Brozier and his injury, and Dennis with a double coming up, I just stuck Dennis in there, and and that's where I'm at. Obviously, I've left Foster in goal as well, so yeah, fairly happy with that at the moment. But obviously, results could mean that I'm suddenly sick of this team in 5 minutes. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so I obviously like I love the Man City triple up in defence, for example. I think that's absolutely lovely. They're obviously the best defence in the league, and I think if you're going to back something, especially the next two games, obviously tonight against Brentford, and then the next game against Norwich, you got to fancy like one or two clean sheets in them, haven't you? So I think that's a great start. Obviously, I love the three Liverpool players. I think getting on Salah early is can't be a bad thing. Even if he doesn't start tomorrow, I think you'll want him for the week after and every other week other than that. So um, I think it's great to get on him early as well. Coutinho's a nice punt because the fixtures are really, really good, aren't they? I don't
Yeah,
think they have any doubles necessarily, but I think the fixtures are like amazing for Villa all the way up to like week 30. And they do
yeah,
have a game in week 30 as well, which is great. Yeah, and it looks like you've got enough doublers. I like the two Arsenal players, like because I don't think many will have them for 26. So I think that'll be nice for the doubles as well because they've got a nice little double. I think. Yeah, I really like this team. I think it's definitely what I'd go for if I was wildcarding now because I think you want to be a bit different. And you've got the main people, but you have got some nice differential things with the triple Man City defense, which other people won't have. And then like the likes of Coutinho and double Arsenal and stuff. So yeah, I think it's really strong.
I think I just had in my mind that I needed some depth in there as well, just with the injuries and COVID and stuff. I just couldn't take a risk on potentially making that starting 11 too strong, and maybe trying to fit in another premium at the expense of a couple of decent bench players. And with Edouard getting dropped tonight, and maybe something unforeseen coming around the corner, I think like having kind of two, three sort of starting players on that bench was actually a little bit of my decision making alongside kind of the future games coming up as well.
Well, yeah, like you said, with Edouard not starting, it's probably already paid off for you, hasn't it? Because you've got Tierney coming in, who'll probably do quite well against Wolves as well.
Yeah, the only thing is if he comes off the bench, obviously I think they're 1-0 down as we speak. Obviously, we're recording at the time, yeah. So I mean, you'd only expect him to come on second half where you're sort of thinking, I don't know what you think on this one, boys, but like at a certain point, you don't want him to come on, do you? You'd rather just take your 90 player from the bench.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So yeah, we'll see how that one unfolds.
Yeah, nice one, mate. I'll whack my team up next. So yeah, you talk
Man
about
City
having a
scored, by the way, fellas. Man City are one up. Riyad Mahrez penalty.
Coutinho just scored for Villa, by the way. You know,
Did he, mate?
just he's just the
Oh,
second scored. It's looking up, mate.
that.
It's looking up. There we go.
it's looking up for you boys. Now I'm
Now
looking at my
that's some
team.
news I like to hear midstream, Josh. That is.
For me, Tom. By the way, I've got none of this. I was just happy for Sam. That's all.
uh, yeah, so I'll just think where I've gone different from Sam. I mean, I've gone De Gea in goal, probably for the same reason that Sam did. It was a really tough choice between him and Jose Sarr from Wolves, but I just went for De Gea because he's got the double game week a bit earlier, and there could be a chance that I move him on to Sarr or bring Foster in for the double in 26. And I've gone for Trent, Laporte, Cancelo in defence. Well, yeah, I think the three best defenders in the game, in my opinion. Man City, obviously, just incredible defensively, and Trent is, yeah, he's obviously one of the best players in the game. So my defence sort of picked itself really. And then my midfield, I've gone as strong as I possibly could. I think. I mean, out and out, I think those are probably the best five midfielders in the game at the moment, in my opinion. So yeah, gone for Son, Salah, Jota, Fernandez, and Bowen. Yeah, Son I think is a really good option. I'm surprised to see he's only 16% owned, to be honest. You know, he plays 90 minutes every game. He's pretty much a striker, isn't he? But he's a midfielder in FanTeam. So yeah, he's actually got the vice captain on him. So if Salah will probably get minutes, right? But if he stays off the pitch, then I've got Son to come in there. And then yeah, Salah and Jota, I think they sort of pick themselves at the moment. And then Bruno, I've gone for him purely for the double. And then I'm looking to hopefully bank a transfer next week and move Bruno onto Kane in two moves. That's my plan. So yeah, starting off with Bruno and then hopefully getting rid of him for Kane. And then yeah, Jared Bowen's my fifth midfielder, and again I think he's been one of the best options all season really, and he paid off already with a goal against Watford. And then I think Antonio is probably going to be one of the ones to go, to be honest, for Harry Kane. He's just in there really as a filler. I couldn't really think of even two strikers that I wanted to pick in the game at the moment. It's all a bit weak for striker options. So yeah, I've just stuck Antonio and Dennis in there for now, and well, Dennis will just stay there all season really, unless he starts getting dropped. And yeah, my bench, like Sam, I've gone a bit different. I know you had 3 strong players on your bench, Sam. I've gone a bit riskier. I've picked 2 playing defenders, and then I've just gone for Gelhardt because he's 4 million, and he can just sit there. So I picked Semedo from Wolves, who I think's pretty solid. And then Webster, he's only 4.5 million, and obviously he's got a double game week coming up, so I'd look to play him for that. So yeah, and I think he's probably, when you filter on all the 4.5 million defenders, he was the only one I really wanted, to be honest. So he seems like a good option.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense, definitely. Yeah, as you said, you've got basically the strongest defense and the strongest midfield you can have, and then you've sacrificed up front, basically, which is what I would do at this exact point. Like, there's just no strikers I even want, to be honest. I think I'd like, if I was building my team right now, like you boys on a wild card, I'd be tempted to even go 4-5-1 or something like that, or like definitely only 2 strikers. You know what I mean? So I think this is the right way. You've definitely got the best 5 midfielders. I think the only one you might be missing is maybe like a Man City one, but who do you pick? Who you know is nailed? Do you know what I mean? So I think I like the double. I prefer the double or triple defense from them. I think because I think Laporte, Diaz, and Cancelo are just going to play every game. Yeah, I'd have gone De Gea as well as you boys. I know Man United look terrible in defence, to be honest, but he still keeps getting quite a few points. Like not last night, but he's been getting loads and loads of saves. So the double next week, I think you still want De Gea for the next few weeks, definitely.
They could concede in both games, and he still could rack up some really good points. And I mean, just the the safety net of that is massive, isn't it? And I think that again, that's why I went for it, and hence why you two are also on it as well. Is because if you concede goals and you're still getting points, you're doing something right.
Yeah, Tom. Obviously, I presume you're going to captain Bruno next week, right?
Yeah. Well, so I'm not actually sure. I really like him as an option, but I'm still sceptical about Man United. I guess you sort of have to if you own him, but I still think Salah could outscore him just playing one game, to be honest. I'm still not completely sure.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think Salah is just unbelievable. He's like an absolute freak of nature. But I think whenever there's a double for like, especially for a team like Man United, I think I'd be tempted to go Bruno or De Gea still as captain. I think. But do you even think Man United will keep a clean sheet in either of these 2 games?
Who have they got exactly?
Like, I'm not convinced. I think they got Brighton and Southampton both at home.
Yeah, I could see Broja scoring against Maguire in that game, and yeah, Brighton. I think that'll be it might even be an 1-1, 0-0 sort of game, to be honest. But yeah, I could see both teams scoring quite easily.
I think Brighton's a good fixture defensively for United. I think it's probably a better fixture than Southampton. I mean, Brighton do struggle for goals, don't they? As tidy a football as they play and as defensively resolute they are, that could. I mean, I wouldn't want to. Certainly wouldn't want to, put any money on it, but that could be a De Gea clean, couldn't it? And then you're picking up saves bonus at Southampton as well. Like you just said, Josh, you could actually be racking up quite a tasty kind of double game week return there.
If he does get 1 clean sheet, I genuinely think he'll get a huge score in this double game week. Like, I think he'll probably get like 8 saves across the 2 games or something, plus a clean sheet and the appearance points. I think that becomes a really big score then, like probably bigger than Ronaldo will get, for example. I don't know, but
who are you going to be on, mate?
Yeah, I think any team where I don't have Bruno or Ronaldo, I'll either get them in or I'll captain De Gea. I think I'm fine with all 3, to be honest. I think all 3, I'll just captain one of those across like all my teams, but I won't be like forcing more than one in. I don't think so. If I've got 0, I'll bring in whichever one fits that team the best. You know what I mean? But I'm not really precious on any of them. I don't think. As you say, they just not don't seem that exciting at the moment, do they? Like any of those assets, I don't think. Are you thinking of captain De Gea then, Sam, on yours? Because you didn't have the other Man United, did you?
Yeah, I really like the option of Salah against Burnley. I'm a bit biased because I'm a Liverpool fan, but you just pointed it out, Josh. He's been insane. He's an absolute machine, and again, I'm going to judge his minutes versus Leicester because ideally you want him to play the whole 90, and then if Liverpool get a clean sheet, like you said, those points can start to rack up. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had this issue in previous double game weeks where I've gone with the double game week player and a Cancelo or a Salah or whoever it is, just smash the double game week player out the park in one game, and you're like, why did I not just go for that high quality asset? I know Bruno's high quality asset, but of course he's not in my team. So yeah, I'm left with a bit of a decision there, mate. But I am leaning towards De Gea for all the reasons we've talked about, and he's probably United's most informed player, right?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Coutinho just got another assist, by the way.
You're joking, did he?
Yeah, they went in 2-1 now. It's unbelievable.
Mate,
I,
keep delivering me that good news. Who got the goal?
Jacob Ramsey, I think.
Or there'll be a few happy people that have punted on Jacob Ramsey in various formats. That's
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a taste. It's a good goal for a lot of people. That is, I think. Like fair play for going for Coutinho because he's like your sort of differential, isn't he? I guess, or like as you mentioned, and it's paying off in absolute heaps at the moment.
I said, I think 2 weeks ago, I thought Gerard would go Buendia down the right, Coutinho down the left, and then he would sack off one of Ings or Watkins, and it's exactly what he's done, isn't it? Watkins is now more central because Watkins has had no returns at all, is he? Playing out on that sort of right hand side of Ings, or they just don't work together. So I'm really, really happy to see that, and obviously the thought process come through. Gerard knows Coutinho really well. He knows Coutinho knows the Premier League, and that's the reason why I punted on him for this, really, for that exact reason. So yeah, that's good news so far, mate. All we need is a Kane goal now, don't we? And we're going to be going into tomorrow nice and happy.
I need about four, I think, but yeah, we'll take one to begin with for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Start nice and simple.
It's not looking so good for my team at the moment, so I'm hoping things change in this second half.
But I was just saying to you before, Tom. I think before, like checking your scores like mid game week is just can be a silly move for the old psychological element. I sometimes like to leave it to the game week's done because obviously a few people would have had some United players last night, and then your rank drops for me because I didn't have a United player and they're disheartened or whatever, and then your rank increases when you've had 5 or 6 players playing. And I just think sometimes it depends how you work in a mindset perspective, but I prefer just to leave it to the game week's done before I look at the damage.
Yeah, and ultimately my captain's I've got Salah as my captain. He's yet to play, so if he could go big tomorrow, and my rank would go up. Yeah, go up quite a lot. He's only 26% owned by the looks of this. So yeah, let's see what he can do tomorrow. You're right to have a look at some of our second chance half season teams then.
Would love to, yeah.
I got yours. I got yours on screen at the moment, Sammy. Let you go first.
Don't quite. I have to flip back and see what I was thinking when I put this team together, but I'm happy with that back four, essentially, including De Gea. Again, I think it's probably the template right now, isn't it? That I would imagine in all formats. I think I punted on Lucas Moura because he sort of has looked pretty good, hasn't he? And then I think he missed a game because he's slightly injured or something. He's back in tonight, so we'll see how he does. He's definitely on the chopping board for me, and I'll explain more in a minute. Jota, I'm glad I've left him in. Bowen, obviously, Bowen's there when we're taking him out. Rafinha, Leeds talisman, isn't he? And I think he's proven his value this season. Certainly, just ticking along in quite a poor Leeds team with quite a few injuries. I'm not entirely happy with that front line. Like you talked about earlier, Tom, with Antonio, he's just not. He's not in the goals at the moment, is he? He looks a bit fatigued, and he's sort of, he just doesn't look like he's going to score like he was earlier in the season. And then obviously Josh King there. So as you can see, no Mo Salah, but I couldn't afford to get Salah in outright. So what I've decided to do is probably the best week to do it was to roll the transfer for the week after. Then I've got 2 free moves. I can get rid of Mason Mount and then someone else, and then I can make a little bit of a revamp. Obviously, I want Salah for that double against the Leeds, and I can't remember Norwich and Leeds, isn't it? A couple of weeks time. So I've taken the punt this week instead of taking a hit to hope to fully roll Salah, and whether or not he comes on for 30 minutes or whatever, just hope that he doesn't go nuts basically versus Leicester. So not entirely happy with it, but I think 2 transfers will definitely make a big difference to sort that team out.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the front 2 that you've got there, I wouldn't have taken them out this week, especially. I think you just have to leave them and just. I mean, they obviously both played last night, but they could have both got something last night. So it's not a disaster. It's just a bit unlucky, I think. Yeah. As for next week, what are you more thinking to maybe like take transfers into week 26 rather than the Man United double, or are you sort of looking at anything from Bruno or
I
Ronaldo?
just I don't know how you guys play it. Once I start backing against the team, I've done it in all formats. I tend to carry on with that approach. I've not been impressed with United on an attacking, well, in any sense, really, for quite a few game weeks, and so I took the decision to mainly go against them, bar De Gea. Um, yeah, I just if I bring Bruno in or Ronaldo in, I know I want to get him straight back out again. So I am tempted to. I'm going to leave De Gea in, and then I'm probably going to go towards getting Salah back and avoiding Bruno and Ronaldo.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Yeah, you've got De Gea, like you say. Salah's going to be needed for 26, so you're probably going to need a few moves to do that, aren't you, as well? So just probably take the moves into that week, I think.
And again, the question to you, Josh, is like, could Jota, Trent, and Salah individually outscore any of those United players over one game over the United's two? I think the answer is absolutely yes.
I think it's only I think it's Salah's the main candidate. I think especially if he gets like a mini rest tomorrow, for example, I think he's just going to be a great captain for both 25 and 26. They've got Burnley on Sunday, haven't they? So that would be who you've got against the Man United boys, right? I don't think that's a bad thing. Oh my god, it's happened again. Ramsey scored, Coutinho assist again.
You're joking.
It's 3-1. Yeah.
Wow.
Blimey.
I
That
had
is
Rams. I sort of, as you go through your drafts and you sort of pen your players in, I sort of penned Ramsey in at one point and just thought, on an attacking sense, potentially he's not kind of, it's just but I've got Coutinho, so, there's no complaints there.
Yeah, it's like 3 attacking returns in the first half. Not a bad half for you, Sam, I don't think, in the end. So there we go.
No, mate, I'm absolutely chuffed, to be honest with you. I really am with that because I've been backing Coutinho since he's come back in and been making the noises. And obviously, he's repaying me there with a little bit of faith. And yeah, that's super cool.
I think we all forgotten how
Yeah,
good he
I
was,
mean,
haven't we?
going back to that Bruno and Ronaldo, the thing with both of them is that they are high quality players, and I am totally aware, and I was last night sitting on the kind of edge of my seat, knowing that at any given moment there could be a return from both of them, and it could come out the blink of an eye. So, there is a worry about that for sure, because they're both such good footballers. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where you just sort of hide behind the sofa for 180 minutes, isn't it?
And that's the interesting thing about the Man United double game week. I think you're going to be feeling similar. Like, if anyone you don't pick out of De Gea, Bruno, and Ronaldo, you're going to want them not to do well, basically. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that their EOs will be like really high because I think most people will go for them over Salah. I think so. On the one hand, you've got a great differential with Salah captain because I think not that many people will go for it. But then also you've got to be a little bit scared of the Man United players. I think
Yeah,
in
I am,
25,
mate.
only in 25 though. Like after that, I think they're just like, I think people will be selling them all over the place. To be honest.
I think yeah, on both the season long game and the second chance game, it's like obviously I had a really really good rank a few weeks ago, and I've dropped back down. And potentially, if these next couple of games go okay, I'm gonna jump back up. But it's a real make or break week for that with that double because, like you said, the EOs will be so high on both of them that if they go off, I could drop 1,000, 2,000 places, and you're suddenly then in a really difficult position. But I think I'm going to back my gut feeling and like I said, just hide for 2 games and then reappear out the sofa and have a little look.
Makes sense, mate.
All right, I'll whack up my team now then. So yeah, again, I don't think it's too defense isn't too different from Sam's. I've got the four, De Gea, Trent, Laporte, and Cancelo. I just think in this second chance game, that's the four to have at the moment, isn't it? Especially Laporte, because yeah, even if he doesn't play, he still guarantees you a Man City defender with the rules. So yeah, I think that's a pretty template-y four. And then, last week I had Mount in there, but I swapped him off for Semedo this week to allow for either a Bruno or Salah transfer. next week. Still haven't decided who I'm actually going to bring in yet. I'll probably do Bruno and then on to Salah, but yeah, not set in stone. And yeah, my midfield, I've gone for Foden. Similar concept for Laporte, really. I think he just gives you a chance for a Man City midfielder any game, really. I've gone for, obviously, like most people, got Jota. I've set him as my captain this week. I did have it on Bowen up until about 5 minutes before deadline, so I'm regretting changing that at the moment. So hopefully Jota can make amends when he actually plays. And then yeah, I've gone Jared Bowen, like most people. He's, like I said, he's just been awesome this season. He's great value in all fantasy games. I think he's a must pick. And then my fourth midfielder is Rafinha. He hasn't done too great since this game started, but I still think he's an awesome pick. He plays like 90 minutes every game. You can guarantee he's going to start, and I'm sure he'll get some attacking returns soon. And yeah, similarly to Sam, I've got King and I've got Watkins actually, as opposed to Sam's Antonio. And I think Watkins is going to be the one that goes for Bruno or Salah with the money I've got. And then I'll be on a 4-5-1, which I think is probably the strongest sort of formation at the moment, really, for this sort of game.
Yeah, I really like this game that you can move like a striker to a defender or a striker to a midfield. It's more like Sky, isn't it, for you
Yeah.
boys? Like, I know you two play Sky, don't you, as well? Um, yeah, I really like this. Like being able to move Watkins to Bruno or Salah is like a dream move next week, I think. And maybe you'll wait to see it if Salah's even comes on tomorrow, you know what I mean, or whatever. If he does, I think he's a great player to get on sooner rather than later. But these 11, I think this is a great 11, to be honest. Foden's a good punt. I think he's the one who seems like the best price to me. I
Yeah.
don't know. He just seems like he's like, because I think he's a little bit cheaper than like Sterling, Mahrez, and De Bruyne. And to be honest, I think he's just as nailed as Mahrez, for example, and Sterling. So yeah, I like that as the one, and then I can't fault the rest of it. I think, has Semedo got a safety net? I think he's got a few below him, hasn't he? So I think he's
Yeah.
great, even if he gets rotated. I think.
Yeah, I think there's like you said, there's a couple below him that I could get a Wolves defender in for. So yeah, I'm pretty content with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I told my brother to put in Marcal about 3 or 4 weeks ago, like just before he got dropped, and he actually has no safety net. So that was like the most rookie thing ever, literally, because he's just got like a dead spot on his team every week now. So he needs to make a transfer there, I think.
I think he's on my list of players never to pick again, because I think I picked him in a couple of games last season and he absolutely killed me. So
Same as me. Yeah, that name should never be mentioned on our pod.
So we'll stick to Coutinho and stuff. I think that sounds better, doesn't it?
Daniel James has just scored again, so he's scored 2 goals tonight so
God.
far. It's quite the game, that, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it is exactly. I've got him on one of my DraftKings teams actually. I'm trying to see if it's doing well, but I think literally it's one of them teams where I've just got him in it and everyone else is blanking. So like I think I won't even win on that, even though I've picked bloody Dan James. So yeah.
I was going to say, I think you'll be sort of in the minority of punt there on Dan James.
It's not enough. I don't think. I think the Coutinho owners have had the last laugh on me. I think because he must be on like an absolutely huge score with a goal and 2 assists as well.
I'll have a look for you in a second, mate, and I'll let you know.
Well, the thing with Ramsey's 2 goals, I imagine more people actually have him on the bench than they do playing because of how he's priced and stuff. So I'm sure there'll be quite a few frustrated players with Ramsey sat on their bench.
I'm quite worried about that actually. Someone asked me yesterday whether they should play Ramsey or someone else, and I remember I told them someone else. So I just hope they ignored me. I hope they completely ignored me and played Ramsey basically. But yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure your advice there was fairly solid with probably the options around that. But yeah, he's definitely proven himself as a very good asset, isn't he? Coutinho's actually on 12.3, mate, already. So he's 4% owned as well. So I've definitely got a really tidy little differential there.
It's as good of a differential as it gets. I think Planet FPL James put him in on his Sky team actually, which is absolutely mad if he did, because that's going to be a huge haul on Sky, isn't it, as well?
I've got him in Sky as well, mate.
It's been a great night for you. Well, a great half for you, Sam. I can't see it going too wrong, but we'll see what happens in the second
He's
half.
on a 14-pointer in Sky as well. So yeah, certainly started all right for sure. I'd love a Harry Kane, like we said earlier, like a Harry Kane return, and we'd be there.
So I don't know, just to generate some discussion, I just whacked up the fixtures on screen. I think
Nice.
we spoke a bit about next week. I know Sam, it seems to have worked out quite well for you this season. To be fair, avoiding Man United players. Do you think you're set on just largely ignoring that Man United double and just holding the better players that you've got?
At the moment, yeah, but then I sort of listened to Josh a second ago and just saying how easy it would be to, again, it's very dependent on what happens Thursday, but the ease of which I could, in that second chance game, is slot in Bruno for the double and then get back off Bruno. And sometimes it's not. I mean, my rank on that's fairly, is okay. So it's like I could just go with that and cover it off as this is what the majority are doing. Obviously, we use that sort of gameplay quite a bit, don't we? Where you go with the EO essentially. So that could be an option there. But I think if I see Salah looking kind of, you know, looking sharp on a cameo against Leicester, then yeah, I've got, let's say, a tough decision to make. And at the moment, I would back the the Liverpool game over the double United. Can't believe we've even said that. It doesn't even sound right to say it with United having two games and Bruno and Ronaldo. I don't even know if I mean, what's your boys' thoughts on Ronaldo playing both of them? I'm sure, like, he's just turned 37, isn't he?
I think
Yeah,
he's got a better chance of playing both of them because he was benched against Burnley. But I think even then, I don't see him playing two lots of 90 minutes. I think he'll be managed through the two of them. And well, he got recorded like sprinting off the pitch, didn't he, at the end of the game? Whether he had a niggle that he was going down the tunnel for or not, I don't know. But yeah, I can see him probably starting both, but maybe not playing 90 minutes in each.
yeah. I think he'll feature in both, the same as Bruno. But I wouldn't even feel guaranteed that Bruno was going to start both at this point. I think he is due a rest at some point, whether it's this week or whether it's in like 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not sure, but um, yeah, I think De Gea is the only nailed one, isn't he? Really, I know Henderson's not in the fray at the moment, so I very much think De Gea will obviously play both. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And the thing I like about Bruno is it's such an easy move to Salah, as you said, Sam. Like, I think if you don't go with Salah next week, Bruno can literally just be a placeholder for Salah, and I
Yeah,
think that's the temptation to take the double for him and then take a double for Salah, and it just almost like slots in perfectly, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
especially for Tom, where he's got the money for both on his second chance team, so he could potentially go to Bruno next week and then go to Salah straight the week after. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see if Salah looks good tomorrow. We might not be able to resist going straight to Salah, I think.
He looked sort of angry in training, didn't he? Anyone see the photos? He just looked like a good angry, where it's like Leicester are going to get, like, the next couple of teams are going to get, are going to have their ass handed to them a little bit. That's what it kind of, just from his visual representation.
That's the thing
Yes,
about
I mean,
Leicester as well. Oops, sorry, Josh.
you go on, mate. Carry on.
I was just going to say that's the thing about Leicester as well. To me, just visually, they look the worst defence in the league at the moment. The set pieces they can't seem to defend, and yeah, well, they got Amati and Soyuncu at the back who, yeah, just look like, well, less than Conference League players at the moment. So yeah, I'd be really confident in Salah tomorrow if he starts.
I was going to say the same as you, Tom. Exactly. Like, I am terrified. I haven't got any Salah. I am terrified if he starts tomorrow. I think he'll absolutely run riot. Literally, I think it could be like four attacking returns genuinely against that last Leicester defense. The way it looks. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think if he starts, he probably only plays 60 or 70, doesn't he? I think he probably does get subbed off, but he could cause so much damage in that time. I think Notts Forest scored 4 goals in that time, so I'm pretty sure Salah could as well. You know what I mean? So
I think if anyone listening has got kind of a Van Dijk or a Trent, I think you're in for a good shout with both of them. Obviously, Trent from set pieces and Van Dijk. Even Jota's fantastic in the air, and he proved that again in the FA Cup game against Cardiff. Yeah, Leicester are woeful at set pieces, aren't they? So there could be holes in this game.
yeah, very much across the board in terms of the attackers. I'm not sure if I fancy the clean sheet for Liverpool so much. I've got a sneaky feeling someone like Madison or Tielemans might
Yeah,
score or something like that. But even here, Nacho's looking a bit better again. Like, now he's back in the team. But um,
I called
yeah,
it a couple of weeks ago on the. I don't think Liverpool will keep it clean either. I think Leicester will score tomorrow at Thursday, tomorrow at Anfield for sure. I think you're right there, Josh, for that one.
what's your score predictions for this one then, boy, for the Leicester Liverpool game?
It depends who scores when. I could see Liverpool winning it like 3 or 4 nil, but if it sort of goes 1-0, 1-1, then maybe 3-1, something like that. That's 3 or 4-1 would be my prediction.
I'd say exactly the same, yeah, 3 or 4-1. I just think the way Leicester play going forwards as well, they usually play a pacey striker up top, don't they? And I know Liverpool, well, their defenders basically sit on the halfway line for most of the game, don't they? So, yeah, I can see Leicester nicking one in behind, but yeah, Liverpool will just be too much for them, for sure.
Yeah, I'll go a bit wilder. I'll say 4-2. I think it could be a really good game tomorrow. Actually, I think Liverpool will always be comfortable throughout the game, but I think
Yeah.
Leicester might score a couple kind of thing, like you said, Tom. Could get right in behind. Like it doesn't matter who they're playing up front or out wide. Like they've all got pace for Leicester. So, and Madison and Tielemans can just like produce something from nothing
Yeah.
as well. So that's the other side of it.
What one
Yeah. I
player
mean, sorry, Josh, Tom, you go for it,
I was
mate.
going to say one player I really like from Leicester, but you just don't know if he's going to start every game. I really like the look of Daka. I think he's genuinely better than Vardy now. Just from what I've seen of him, he looks unbelievable. I was half tempted to make a punt on him, but yeah, just with the fixtures they got, I thought better of it. But I really like the look of Daka. Yeah, I think he's a really really nice differential pick.
Their squad depth in the attacking positions is actually so strong. Like it's just the defense is just shambolic. Literally, it's
Yeah.
like they've had a lot of injuries at the back, but also they've just got no depth whatsoever. Like they're not happy with Vestergaard. They signed him in the summer and just don't rate him whatsoever because he can't even get in the team when they've got like 5 injuries. Um, but in the attacking positions like Tielemans, Madison, Harvey Barnes, Dewsbury Hall's been playing quite well. I think he's been in the team a lot anyway. They've also got like,
Lookman.
yeah, Lookman, yeah. They've got Ndidi and Samari in like the holding role as well. So they've got that pretty sorted. And then Vardy, Daka, and Iheanacho. I mean, their squad is so strong, isn't it? But
You're sort of waiting for them just, and they're gonna click and they're gonna go, and they're gonna. I've never like you just said, Josh. I never doubted them going forward. It's just like they're so leaky at the back, and with injuries and stuff, it's an issue. There will be a time this season. I'm convinced where we'll be loading up on Leicester, particularly in the attacking sense. I think when they start to they're going to turn it around, aren't they? Like the players you've just reamed off. There's no way that they can't get things sorted.
Yeah, and
I
just
think it
looking at
just takes a
these.
couple.
Sorry,
Go on,
mate.
Tom.
I was going to say, just looking at these fixtures, they've got the most games to be rearranged at the moment. Every other team has got, yeah, the maximum of three, but Leicester have still got 4 games to be rescheduled as well. So you'd probably think they'll come at the back end of the season, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think everyone's touting it to be like 36 and 37, where they probably have back to back doubles, I think. And then they're probably double in 33, I think, as well. So, because I think those are their only three free midweeks if they play in Europa League, if they get really far in the is it the Conference League? I think it's Europa Conference League, right? Um, but the thing is, like, their assets are so well priced as well. Like Madison and Tielemans for FanTeam in particular are like amazingly priced. They're both definitely under 7 million, which I think for guys who play 90 minutes, they get a lot of set pieces. They just score a lot of goals anyway. Like they're going to come into our thinking at the back end of the season, I think. But
Well,
I just think they're not pickable now.
I had actually picked Coutinho on the premise of him being a placeholder for Tielemans or Madison. That
Yeah,
was the exact idea. Well, it might not come to fruition, but that was the initial plan. Was exactly that. Coutinho two, one of those two.
yeah, even from week 30, because that we know Leicester have a fixture in week 30, they're one of very few teams who do. So, like from that point, you'll probably know Leicester are going to have three doubles as well as not blanking in 30. So,
Yeah,
like that could be a great time to get on Tielemans or Madison. I think maybe both. I don't know if
yeah.
they've
They're
got so
just
many fixtures.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I heard that I heard you talking a few weeks ago about it, Josh, around Christmas on both of them, and I was totally with that idea. I think Leicester have got a good run and they're looking decent, and like you said, there's some doubles coming up at that point. Then you can make a real case for both of them because you can rack up points in such different areas, can't you?
Exactly, mate. They're so affordable and like um yeah, I just think they're really good assets. Crystal Palace just scored, by the way, so that's 1-1 now. So maybe the Norwich winning streak's over. I don't know.
Was it anyone good?
Zaha scored. Elise
Oh,
got the assist. I've got
Oh,
Elise on. I've got a little bit of Elise, but yeah.
I punted Elise in my wild card in FPL. Just really like the look of him recently, so that's another nice little return. Leicester have just got looking at Leicester's fixtures at the moment. They're really tricky though, aren't they? They've got West Ham, Wolves, blank, Leeds, obviously a good, fairly decent fixture. Arsenal, Brentford, United, Palace.
It's going to be a back end of the season job for them. Like I
Yeah,
say, Sam, I think from week 30, like because 30 is so important because I think they'll be one of very few teams who actually have a game. So I
yeah.
think if you get him in then, like as a instead of a blanking player, basically, then you'll just have the run to the end of the season with like 3 games in hand, like I say. So I
So
think
they're
they'll just
third. They're
yeah,
30
go
to
on.
38 is like you said, it's top of the ticker here with Brentford, United, Palace, Newcastle, Villa, Tottenham, Everton, Watford, Southampton, and then you chuck in how many doubles did you think? Three doubles for Leicester.
They'll have 3 extra virtually. So I'm virtually certain they'll have 3 extra. So like in that period, so they're just going to be top of everyone's shopping list. I think from week 30, literally. So I think we should get on it and maybe even like I said, go for the double up of Madison and Tielemans because I think they're the best 2 assets. To be honest, I can't really think what else we'd go for. Maybe Schmeichel if as like a doubling goalkeeper who just has loads
Yeah.
of games, but I don't fancy the
No,
defenders to be
exactly.
honest.
And like you
Would
said,
you
I mentioned Daka, but you just wouldn't trust a single striker to play every game, would you?
the
No,
the
that's the
only
thing. And in a double, you need them to play
Yeah.
both. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
in the second chance game, obviously in a single week, it's fine because they'll have a safety net. You know what I mean? But in a double week, you just need someone to play both. And I think I only trust Madison and Tielemans, really.
Yeah, and you like you said, you're certainly not. I'm at this current moment, I wouldn't be going for Schmeichel for the reason they're just so leaky, aren't they? But by that point, they could have a few players back, and it could be looking little bit different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one player that I've picked, I've gone for Adam Webster to target that Brighton double in 25. I know one of their fixtures is really good in Watford in Man United, but what do you guys think of a Brighton asset for 25? Would you use a transfer on it or what do you think?
I think there's certain spots, isn't there? So I think some people will have still have a lot of Chelsea and a lot of Arsenal players, for example. So I think if you're down to sort of 11 or 10, I think moving one of those to a Brighton player makes perfect sense because they're probably in the right price range, whereas the Man United players aren't. You know what I mean? So one I love on FanTeam, I always talk about him is Cucurella. I think he's a 4.5 mid on FanTeam, but he plays 90 minutes every single game, so he just prints points. So he might be a really nice like guy who'll get you 6 points in a double game week, you know what I mean? Just for 3 and 3, just for playing basically. So I think that might be good for someone who's got like, I don't know, a Saka or a Martinelli or something like that, or a Mason Mount like you've got, Sam, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah,
Just to get a nice double. You can probably bench him a lot of other weeks. And
I'm
then,
just
yeah,
looking at their fixtures afterwards. They've got obviously United and Watford in the double, but they've got Burnley, Villa, Newcastle. So it's like, yeah, they're all right. I don't really mind them. I mean, straight after that, you've got Liverpool and City. So if you weren't benching them before that, you certainly probably would be there. But yeah, I don't. I wouldn't mind a 4 or 5 game punt there, on someone like that, or one of the defensive assets as well.
He
They're
looks really
solid at
good.
the back, aren't they, Brighton? In the main,
Yeah. I was gonna say Cucurella looks really good as well. I think he'll get
yeah, he
you a couple of
does.
might get you a couple of attacking returns in that time.
I tell you what, like fantasy aside, he's a top footballer. Like he looks so good every time on the ball. But yeah, he's just someone I've got him in some of my teams. I'm not sure I'd buy him unless I had that exact like Arsenal Chelsea problem, or if there's loads of injuries this week, for example. But yeah, I think he's probably one of the best ones to get from Brighton. Sorry. The thing about Mopay is I'm not convinced he's going to play both games. Otherwise, I might have taken a punt on him. I think, but he tends to be benched for like the tough away games. So I know Man United aren't great, but I think he might not play at Old Trafford. So I think that might be like a reason not to go for him. I think.
Did they sign a new striker, Brighton?
I'm not sure about that. I haven't seen anyone sort of playing in his role. They sometimes just play Trossard up top. That's what they do. Like to play to, they play a false nine basically when they don't play Mope. So they've obviously got Welbeck as well, who's been doing
They
okay. But
have, haven't
like,
they? Yeah, I'm
yeah,
going in.
but yeah, I think there's too much doubt on Mope to sort of be bringing him in. I think if you had him, you'd start him for this next week, just in case he doubles or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I'd bring him in. And there's not much else I like at Brighton. Is there anything you boys like? Anything appeal to you boys?
Nothing appeals on an attacking sense. Mainly for more pace burnt me so many times. in the past when I've owned him, and I've had Trossard as well, and he's just hit and miss. Like I said, not overly consistent, is he? I don't mind them defensively, but again, um, yeah, I think the answer to that is really like they're not high on my priority list. From especially in FanTeam, maybe Cucurella, like you said, maybe Sanchez in goals, but there's such good options in goal as well, isn't there, at the moment? So yeah, that's where I stand with it. Obviously, I didn't pick one in my wild card side.
Yeah, I went for Adam Webster, but it wasn't really thinking too much about it, to be honest. I just filtered on defenders that were 4.5 million, and then I picked my favourite because that was how much money I had left. And to be honest, I think Webster's a pretty solid pick. I mean, he'll probably play every game. He's a pretty tall bloke, so I think he's already popped up with a goal or two this season already. So I think he's a decent shout. But yeah, it's a bit thin on the ground for Brighton in terms of fantasy options. Other than that, I think.
Yeah, I've got the annoying spot. I've actually got it's not annoying. I should be grateful, but I've actually got Sanchez and De Gea, so I've got to like I'm gonna play De Gea, but
Yeah,
I'd rather almost have a goalkeeper who has doubles later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than having both the doubles in the same week,
yeah.
it's a bit of an annoying one, but it's just what I went for on my wild card that I played like 5 6 weeks ago or something. So yeah, I've got to be grateful. I guess I've got one of them at least.
So how many
And
like?
yeah, and with
Oh, go on, Sam. Sorry.
just going to say with a keeper, you know that they're probably nailed for both 90 minutes. And yeah, like you said, it's a shame. It's kind of, yeah, you have to go one or the other. But yeah, so that's a nice little shout that, Josh, on the on the rotating side of things there. You've got some good options moving forward.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think one team I really like for 26, I think, is that we've talked about a bit, but I think the Wolves. So, like, I think, was it Tom? You had Semedo, was it?
Yeah.
I think like things like that are like, I think that's really nice to have either Saar or one of the Wolves defenders, I think, because I think they will actually get quite a few clean sheets over the next run of games and they don't blank in 30, which is really nice as well. So, I think people who've got defender problems, I think Wolves would be close to the top of my list, I think, for people to bring in terms of defenders.
Yeah, and I think most people will be moving De Gea onto a Sar or a Ramsdale as well. You'd like to think so. That seems the logical thing to do, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's plenty of options in that one. There's you got Saw, Ramsdale, or you've also got Pope, who's probably going to have back-to-back doubles, I think, in 26 and 27. So I think all three of them are amazing. I know. Did you boys go for Pope on Sky?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
yeah, I did as well. I think we just leave him now for ages. To be honest, I think he just stays there for a bit. To be honest, but I was thinking of moving off him, but now they're going to have back-to-back doubles. I think we'll need him for like single game days and stuff. So I think I'm probably just going to keep him for ages. I think.
Yeah, I've
he's a
only
save points magnet as well, isn't he? So like you said, you've got like you almost start on a four, don't you, with him? As long as they don't concede loads and loads of goals, you start with sorry, in Sky you do. And again, I know that FanTeam has similar where you get your saves points. So you're starting from a nice little threshold there, aren't you, with Pope? That's what makes him attractive for me to leave him. If I had him in this format anyway. And with like you said, doubles galore, it's just an accumulation, a chance to accumulate just saves and appearance points, and I'd take that.
I was just going to say I've only played fantasy football for a few years, but this season, like no other, there's just so many options in goal that you could want. You could want every week, really. I think that, like you said, there's 4 or 5 different goalkeepers you could quite easily pick in your team, and yeah, I think you just got to get lucky and get the right one, haven't you?
It happens all the time, doesn't it? It's like the one. I mean, it was Martinez last season, for
Yeah.
example. Was it last season? He just ran
Yeah.
riot. He's got like double the next like cheap goalie, basically. So yeah, it
Like,
can
I was
happen.
going to say, usually there's one standout, isn't there? But this sort of second, or sort of certainly the last few game weeks, there's been more than one kind of real viable option. And as we've just said, with doubles and things thrown into there, there's kind of three or four. Usually, I've been always gone previously between kind of a couple of cheapies, and then obviously you've got your premium goalkeepers there as options. But seems to be a whole host of goalkeepers at the moment that you could go with, and they'll score you really well.
Yeah, there's been a few more goals. De Bruyne just scored. Sterling assist, I think
Did
it
he?
was,
I
and then
mean,
Son scored as well. So two quite
oh,
popular goals. That'll be for people, I think.
I'm happy
Is that
with the
good for
Son
you,
goal.
Tom? Yeah.
I've one goal from all my team so far in Son, but yeah, I'll take that. Take that all day.
Assist Lucas Moura, so that I'll take that for my
Yeah, you can have
second.
that one, Sam. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'll take that one for sure. Just going through the yeah, the only thing with that Wolves double is Arsenal and Leicester, isn't it? I mean, you got any thoughts on that? Like, as poor as Leicester are going defensively, like we said, they're sort of a decent side going forward, and Arsenal have looked pretty fluid and good in the last few game weeks, haven't they?
Yeah, I think with the Wolves double, I'd be more like just I'd be taking it as a double and just hoping something happens. But it's more the games around it. I think, like you say, Sam. I think that those aren't great games. I don't think. But you've got like I think you've got a decent game just after. I think, and even that one's not good.
Yeah,
they've got Palace at home, then they've got Everton away, then they've got Leeds at home, 28-30. So those aren't terrible. I don't think. I think that's when it gets slightly better. But
and they're
yeah,
like I said, they are masters of conceding like either no goals or just one goal. They're really tight at the back, aren't they? I think it's a good option.
they're elite for a cheap defense. Literally, they're so
Yeah,
good. I think they're the value defense this season, if anything.
yeah,
To be
they are.
honest,
I know people
um,
talk about Brighton, don't they, or have done in the past, but actually, I think it's Wolves at the moment.
Brighton just seem to concede that odd goal a
definitely,
bit more than Wolves, don't they? Wolves can just
Yeah,
keep it
every
tight, but
time.
Brighton always just let one in.
Yeah, but like every single time, like you'd have made so much money if you'd have backed Brighton 1-1 every game this season. I think you'd have hit it like 5-6 times. I think at good odds as well. So yeah, it's they always just find a way to concede. I know, obviously, as supports Brighton, who I obviously record with sometimes, he just like is in disbelief about how they always just manage to concede a goal in every single game. Like I remember, like especially against Crystal Palace, bizarrely, they just always concede to Palace. It's so funny.
what was it that game? Was it last year? Yeah, you know the one, don't you? And they scored like with the only shot in the box, and it was the last minute. The only shot in the whole game, or whatever it was. Was it last season or the season before
Yeah,
against Palace?
I think Palace had one shot and scored 2 goals because I think one was an own goal and then Benteke scored in the last kick. It was like and Brighton had like 28 shots or something. It was just like the silliest game you've ever seen. But yeah, Palace won 2-1. It's just that they just can't beat them for some reason. They really struggle to get anything against them. It's really weird.
I can't believe
The
Brighton have
bogey
gone so
side.
long without signing a really decent striker either. I think they're one really good striker away from being a top team, to be honest.
Yeah,
They just need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net and play every week.
their
Yeah,
XG's been particularly over the last couple of seasons pretty good, isn't it? And like sort of you're coming away from games going, how have you not scored 4 or 5 there? And like you said, they've come away with a 1-1 draw, and you're thinking they should have won so many games more comfortably. And as you said, Tom, they're a Tammy Abraham away from, I would think, sort of fighting around for sort of sixth position, something like that.
Yeah, I can't believe they didn't sign him in the summer. To be honest, I thought that was a yeah. They should have done that.
Yeah, they're amazing at the stats. They're like, I think they're one of the, because obviously I know Leicester don't do well at the stats because Vardy's so clinical, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't have many shots, but Vardy scores like one half of his chances or something. Whereas Brighton are like completely the opposite. They have like 20 shots a game, but like only ever score one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and Wolves actually their XGA like they're okay at like they're not by any means at the bottom of the table, but they're nowhere near as high as the amount of clean sheets they get. So I think Wolves are sort of defying the XG a little bit because I think for clean sheets they're sort of third or fourth in the league. I think just below the top three: Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, obviously. But I think they've been like mid table for like XGA and stuff in the last sort of 6-7 games, but they've been keeping quite a few clean still. So yeah, they're definitely the value, as I said before.
The one other talking point
Any
I
other?
wanted to mention on the
Yeah.
fixtures was just are you guys planning to go quite heavy on Chelsea when they come back from the Club World Cup? Because they do have a pretty decent 4 or 5 fixtures when they do come back.
Yeah, their fixtures are phenomenal when they get back. They've got 5 or 6 like amazing ones. I think it's like from 27, is it, or something like that? They just go like amazing all of a sudden. It might be
Yeah.
28 actually
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
blanking 27, don't they?
Yeah, they got Burnley in
Yeah.
28, and then it's Newcastle. Well, to be arranged Norwich, Brentford, and Southampton, and then Arsenal and Leicester to be rearranged from postponed games mixed in there as well.
It's as good as it gets, isn't it? Really, I think that's like as good as it gets. So yeah, I
It's a
think from
mad run, isn't it?
27, 28, 29 in particular, like because they'll probably blank in 30, as you said, but 27, 28, 29. I don't think you can ask for three better ones than that, really, back to back. No, it's 28 and 29, isn't it?
Yeah.
I keep missing that. Sorry.
28,
They double
29, yeah.
they double 26, then they play 28 and 29, then it's annoying they've got a blank in 27 and 30, to be honest, because I think we'd have been all over if they had Norwich in 30 as well. I think everyone would just have like two or three of the defenders probably like from the start.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah,
but yeah, like
Burnley,
what
Newcastle, Norwich, Brentford, Southampton, Leeds as a run there is pretty insane, isn't it?
yeah, I think you can risk holding them through 30 and just know you're going to get like most of the other fixtures kind of
Yeah.
thing, just as a block of 6 or 7. You know what I mean? It seems really good. I think I'll want one. It's been Rudiger who's done well this season, isn't it? I know the
Yeah.
fullbacks were doing well before they got injured. Obviously, they were like elite levels, weren't they? Chilwell and James. But I think for consistency across the whole season, it's been Rudiger really.
He just seems to pop up with points when you least expect him, doesn't he? He's got like an odd assist or a tapping goal, or yeah, he can get up in the air and score a header as well. He's looking really good. As is Thiago Silva, to be honest, as well. I really like the look of him this season, and he's just seemed to play every game as well.
Yeah, he's like undroppable. He's been undroppable basically, and bearing in mind like every other player in that team has been rotated at some point, kind of thing. And it seems like Rudiger just plays every time. So he's a great one to have on a game without like a safety net or anything. So on the main season game, like Rudiger's just Mr. Reliable, isn't he?
He pops up with an attacking return as well, doesn't he? Like in weird games as well, seems to get goals and assists and stuff. So yeah, I think he's just like he's a shoehorn back in, isn't he? It's like who else are you going to go with as well? I don't, as of right now, I'm not overly fussed on any of their attacking options. I mean, I went with Mount for the previous games for that double, but um, yeah, I would be looking at the triple up at the back, go double or triple up at the back. I think, depending who's in. No Reece James and no Ben Chilwell's, it definitely caused them issues, isn't it, defensively?
Alonso is just such a downgrade, isn't he, on Chilwell? I think he's been one of the reasons that they've been so poor, to be honest. I just don't rate him at all defensively, and yeah, the loss of Chilwell has just been huge for them, I think.
Yeah,
They've dropped off a mile since them two have got injured, literally, and it was sort of like near to each other as well. It was sort of within like a 3 or 4 week period, and it's just gone way down ever since then.
yeah. I think once Tuchel gets that team that he wants back, and they're going to be solid. But when that'll be, we'll have to see. But I said Rudiger, I think, is just an absolute shoehorn in there when he comes back. And Lukaku scored tonight, didn't he?
I think it was like this afternoon, wasn't it? I don't know
Yeah.
what time schedule they're playing on, but like yeah, I think it was like when I was in a meeting at 4 o'clock or something. I remember, but um, I follow like that FPL reactions guy, and he's a big Chelsea fan, I think, and he like put Lukaku in capital letters. So
Yeah.
yeah, I need to tell you, but finally I've had a good return. James Ward-Prowse just got an assist, and you know how much I love him. So there we go.
Did he? 2-2, is it? Blimey.
Yeah, it's been some cracking games tonight while we've been chatting away. I think obviously
hoping-
Villa was 3-2 at half time, wasn't it? So
I was hoping you were going to say good return for you. Kane's got the goal, but we'll wait for that one for the winner in a minute, Josh. I think
it's still time for a brace, mate. Don't worry about
Still
that.
time
10,
for it.
10 minutes left. It's all right.
Have you been picking James Ward-Prowse in many teams then, Josh?
I've actually so I haven't got him in many of my season teams because like you say, we've been like trying to shift towards the doubles now, I think. So I've gone for more like Rafinha. I've got Bowen, obviously, like everyone has. I've got Jota as well. So there doesn't leave much room in that price bracket. But I've picked him in 3 of my WCOF teams. So like I'm really happy with that because he really needed that assist, I think, to justify like his price, I think.
He has been playing well though. He's been chipping in, isn't he? So I think it's a real shrewd shout there, Josh, for that.
Oh my God,
with
I think they've scored again, Southampton. Fucking hell.
Have they?
I think so. It's come up with a dot on flash score. I'm not sure if it's actually a goal or not, but we'll
You're
see.
ahead of
Anyway. We'll take just the 2-2 anyway. It's a good enough game. Yeah,
It's a
they
good
have. They've
game,
actually
isn't it?
scored 3-2. Yeah,
Who
Che
got the
Adams.
goal? Did
Che
he?
Adams.
Blimey, the man's back in. The man's back in business.
Yeah, they've both scored. Che Adams and Brogy today, so it seems like they're playing a bit of a front two, and it seems to be working. So yeah,
Watch this space with Southampton then.
Leeds have scored as well. 3-3. What a game that is! There's been some cracking games, I'll tell you.
Do we know the scorer?
I haven't got that. I'm behind on that one. I haven't got that one yet.
If that's a
It'll
Dan
come.
James hat trick, I'll have to eat my hat. That's just
Could
it.
you imagine?
You,
Oh, it's Lorente.
you will.
By the looks of it.
Is it?
Lorente.
Does that mean a Raf
Yeah,
assist there
could be, couldn't
potentially?
it? I'm just refreshing my Twitter to see if anyone's got it quickly. The Shea Adams goal
James
was,
Ward.
yeah, assisted by James Ward-Prowse as well, so he's got 2 assists.
Hey, fair play, Josh.
Here he is. A lot of people have been picking him on Sky, hasn't he? Because he's been
Yeah.
absolutely crushing on Sky. I know he's been getting loads of man of the match and just all the penalties and all the attacking returns. So I've got him in my Sky team, but that's more like a nostalgic thing. I sort of owe it to him to have him. You know what I mean? But I'm not complaining. He's been a great pick.
Well, he's a safe pick in pretty much any game, isn't he? You know what? Just on the basis he plays every game, he's the most nailed player in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like he plays 90 every game. He's the exact type of player who is fan team gold, but I don't think I'd pick him on FPL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 90 minutes is such an important factor for him, and he gets it 38 times a season. Literally, it's just like he's undroppable. He's their star asset by like 3 times the second player. Yeah, I just think he's amazing for FanTeam, and all the corners, all the penalties now. Like the fact that he's taken penalties is like the biggest bonus ever, because that's just like a free 6 goals a year, isn't it? Hopefully,
Yeah.
you'd think so. Having that, I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes in the top 5 midfielders again this season. Like obviously Bowen, Jota, Salah will probably beat him, but I can't think of many others that are guaranteed to be honest, because he just gets so many points, like just from playing and taking penalties, basically. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to look to get him back in soon, I think.
And to be fair, I'm just looking at their fixtures. Although they don't have a double, even their fixtures towards the end of the season look pretty good. They don't have many to be rearranged, but yeah, I mean, they've got, well, in the next sort of 4 or 5 fixtures, they got Tottenham and Man United. Then it goes Everton, Norwich, Villa, Watford, maybe Burnley, Leeds, Chelsea, and Newcastle. Well, Newcastle's be rearranged, so yeah, some really good fixtures for them as well. Was there anything else you lads wanted to talk about on those fixtures at all?
Does it come up? I think there's a question on it. Is there a question on the doubles anyway?
Yeah,
I think
should we have a
coming
look
up.
at
Yeah. I think
Let's
that
go
would
to the
probably.
questions. I'm excited to see what came up. I was gonna say.
So our good friend Shahed, he asked us, is anyone considering Sadio Mane? Says he's playing second fiddle to Salah most times, but he thinks that the confidence that he's gained from winning AFCON and genuinely looking like, yeah, really good in the tournament, he thinks Mane will be riding on a high. What do you guys think about Mane?
So, like, I think if Mane played for like any other team in the league, you'd probably be considering him a lot more. Just like Liverpool have so many good assets, don't they? It's like, is a 10 million Mane better value than like Robertson at 7.3, for example? Or I think Jota's only 8, isn't he, for example? Like, I think at the start of the season, I was all over Mane because I was convinced he was like a lot more nailed than Jota, and he was more likely to get 90 minutes and stuff. But I genuinely think it's a coin flip between those two now as to who gets more minutes. So I think on that basis, you're automatically going to have Trent and Salah, I think.
Yeah.
And then the third one is probably Robertson or Jota. So yeah. I think Mane just misses out for me, to be honest. Reluctantly, because he's a good asset in himself, but I think at his own team, he's 5th or 6th best. Because even Van Dijk's great as well. Like I think he's 6 million. I think he's a great price as well. So yeah, I think Mane reluctantly misses out for me.
Yeah, I'm the same as Josh there, mate. Exactly the same. I think man just comes into that awkward kind of like there's 3 or 4 players you'd rather have ahead of him, and you can only have the 3. Obviously, if Salah was out with an injury or something like that, then you're looking at a completely different ball game. But it doesn't change anything for me in FanTeam. My 3 at the moment, and will be unless Jota is dropped, will be Jota, Trent, and Salah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I went with Mane at the start of the season in a double up with Salah, and it went really well for me for the first probably 5 or 6 games. But then Jota just seemed to start playing every game, and Yeah, I think Jota's a bit more quite a selfish player in himself, isn't he? So he took quite a few of the chances away from Mane, I think. And yeah, Jota just overtook Mane as an option in my opinion. And yeah, he's so much cheaper as well, isn't he, Jota? So I think you've just got to pick Jota in my opinion.
So I did the same as you, Tom. I had quite a bit of Mane and Salah, as you said, in like as the double up. And people were complaining about like Mane's returns, but I thought he was doing amazing at the start of the
He was
season. I
doing
think he
just
got like
fine, yeah.
3 goals in the
Yeah.
first 4 games. Like he
Yeah.
just like he was doing really, really well. It's it was annoying because I think people thought like he should have been getting double returns in the game because he was having so many chances and he was being quite wasteful. But he didn't do us bad at the start. But we're in a much different position to the start of the season now, and he's just gone way down the pecking order of Liverpool assets, I think. And on top of that, I think you'd rather have Son than Mane at the
Definitely.
same
Yeah.
price, wouldn't you now? And I definitely would. So I think like imagine a team where you can have like Salah, Jota, Trent, and Son. It's very, very possible. I think one of your teams from earlier had those four. I think in all four of them. So
Yeah, I picked that
um,
in my wildcard team, yeah.
yeah, it was your team. I was going to say Tom with the mad midfield with the five big midfield players. I was going to say so. Yeah, I think that's just a better line to take than replacing Jota with Mane, for example. Yeah.
And without going too much into it, because I don't think he'll play, but obviously they've signed Diaz as well, haven't they? So another option in that position for them. So it just adds more
Yeah.
fuel to the fire, doesn't it?
Yeah, he plays left side as well, doesn't he? So he essentially challenges Mane moving forward. Especially as I think potentially that Jota is probably the main man through the middle. So yeah, it just adds another player. Although I don't think, like you said, Tom, immediately it's a worry, but it's just another little thing in the back of your mind that thinks you're already contemplating, the 3 or 4 other options, and then there's that in there as well. It just pushes him even further down the order of not only Liverpool players, but as you've said, just general midfield picks anyway.
Yeah, and I think when you're shelling out that much money for a player, you want them to be absolutely nailed, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a question from SkyFF_Bruno. I think we should probably answered it before the deadline, to be honest, because he probably needed a bit of help as to whether he should have picked Salah. But he's just asked us all, are we going to get Salah across the board this week?
I've done it. He's backing for me.
I was going to say we've already done it, haven't we? So I
Yeah.
think we could even answer it from a 25, but again with 25 perspective as well. But I didn't game in any team going into 24. I, I think you have to trust your gut on these things, and my gut is that he won't start tomorrow. But I think I could easily be wrong. I just think I had to just trust my own gut on that one. Um, but I think looking into Sunday, it's a completely different question because I think we sort of know he's going to start on Sunday. I think it's very likely he starts on Sunday anyway. So, and unless he plays 90 tomorrow, for example, or something like that. But if he gets like the 30 or 60 minutes we expect from him tomorrow, then I think he's going to start Sunday. And I think we all have to really consider him because he's the best player on the game, isn't he? So,
Yeah.
He's got nearly
we're all going
twice
to
the
want him by
points
the
of
week.
any other player, doesn't he? He's that far ahead of anyone else.
It's crazy, isn't it? And we all need him for 26 because he's going to be all of our captains. Like, I don't think it's even a debate really. Is it
No.
Norwich and Leeds or something? It's just like the best player on the game's got those two fixtures.
That
So
could be a 40 point now over the two.
yeah, it's not the week to go for a differential captain, is it? I don't think. I think we all just take the points and just leave it at that. I think, but it is an interesting question because everyone's going to have him by 26. So do you get him for 25 and have a bit of a differential, or do you just wait for 26 and be the same as like knowing everyone else will have him and have him as captain literally? So
I
it's an
think if I
interesting
was,
one.
I think I was this dude who asked the question. I would wait. I'd wait and see from the Leicester game and see what vibe and feel you pick up. Like we talked earlier about my second chance team. Do I bring Bruno in or not? I think a lot depends on Salah playing, playing and how well does he play and how does he look, and then going from there. Whether you bring him in for 25, like you said, you want him in 26, but there's a little bit of a couple of routes of different options for 25, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. I think people are going to get tempted by Bruno, and I think it's not a bad. I think it's like might be the correct thing to do. Um, I'm not sure I'd go Ronaldo for the reason that Ronaldo's Salah requires two moves, whereas Bruno only requires one if you've got the money in the bank. So Because I think a lot of people will have like set up their teams to get Salah this week, like with the money in the bank. You know what I mean? So if you go to Bruno, you can then just move it straight to Salah. So I think it's not a bad thing. And just another thing to say on Salah, Salah won't rise in price on FanTeam this week because obviously he hasn't been playing in the last few weeks. And I think his form, like I think he blanked like one of the weeks before he went to AFCON. Because if you remember, they lost to Leicester 1-0, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, he missed a
So I
penalty.
think yeah, so his price just will not go up. Like he'd have to score like 4 goals tomorrow. I mean, you can record this bit if he actually does that, by the way. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say his price won't go up this week, which means you probably can wait till 26 to get him in and not
Yeah.
worry about like exact funds or whatever. Worrying about the. Do you boys like the price changes on FanTeam? By the way, do you prefer it to FPL or?
Yeah, I'm totally happy with it, mate. I've always thought that the FanTeam pricing's been better than the FPL pricing, just full stop. Um, that's my simple answer to that. What's your thinking? Similar?
Yeah, I just like that they all sort of happen at the same time, so you don't have to be like obsessive with it. Because like on FPL, you have to check every night on FPL statistics. If you're on like a on the border of like being able to afford something, you have to check it, don't you? You have to be like looking at it constantly. Whereas on FanTeam, you just don't have to do that. So I think it appeals to like just the more everyday like because most of us are just like everyday lads and girls, you know what I mean, who just want to play a game for like a bit of fun, a bit of interest in the games. I don't want to have to check like FPL statistics every single night at like midnight, you know what I mean, before I go to bed.
To
So
see who's on the rise. No, totally
I
agree,
think
mate.
I think FanTeam have got it right with this particular thing. I think it's nice that you know sort of roughly when a player's going to rise because it's based on form rather than people bringing him in or anything like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And also, you know when the price rises are going to happen, so you make a decision whether to like make your transfers before them or you wait till the last minute, knowing there won't be any more price rises. You know what I mean? So that really appeals to me. I think I really like that.
All right, see if we got any
Tottenham
other.
have had a VAR goal, by the way. It was Bergwijn, but it's under review, so they might not even get the equaliser. I don't think.
if it's not Kane, I don't care.
Yeah, the tweets are saying it's gone offside. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Christian Romero assist as well, so there wasn't. Yeah, yeah, that
He's,
one
he's been unlucky, he has, because Romero had a goal disallowed for offside earlier as well, so he could have had a haul tonight
could
if
have. It
if
would have
he,
been an absolute
they'd
haul.
have all been onside. Yeah.
Okay. So the Sky legend himself, Dan Cox, is another question that we're probably a bit late to answer, but well. He said he was thinking of wildcarding in FanTeam, but not sure if he should wait another week or two. And this is the most liked question we had, so I think it's quite a popular one. Assuming that he didn't wildcard this week, say, what week would you guys suggest is the best one for him to hit the chip in?
I think if he wants to do it soon, I think 26 makes perfect sense, doesn't it, with the doubles? Because there's no bench boost, there's no triple captain on FanTeam. So you can just wild card literally in the big double game week, you know what I mean? And no, you can just pick all the doublers. I wouldn't do it in 25 because, like we've talked about, I don't think any of the three of us are wild on like the Man United or Brighton assets, are we? So I think you can just sort of muddle through this 25 week now. And then I think 26 looks a really strong option. If you're not happy with your team, I think I'd just do it in 26 and set yourself up for the next 4 or 5 weeks after the double as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, when me and Sam played our wild card was a good time to do it, just because of I had 3 Chelsea players in my team and a couple of others that I wanted to get rid of, so that's like 5 transfers that I needed to make. But obviously, most would have probably gotten rid of their Chelsea assets already, which makes a wild card a bit less useful, if you like.
I think on the flip side, there's that option a little bit if you're going to muddle through like past around that sort of 31, something like that, where you've got that Leicester and Chelsea swing a little bit, where you know Leicester are going to have a lot of games. If you want and can, like you said, wait that long. I don't know Dan's side, but you know there's that potential option there to go hard on the potential doubles that are coming up for Leicester as well there. So yeah, there's a few options, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I can't confess to follow FPL Twitter too closely because I don't really play FPL too much. But I think quite a common strategy is to wildcard in that game week 30 for most people to cover the blanks and stuff. So yeah, it's another option there, I suppose.
Yeah, I think 30, 31, like, so I think a lot of people are like dead ending into 30 and then wild carding in 31.
31. Yeah.
I think we'll have like a good picture of like maybe some of the rest of the season by then. And as we talked about it, we'll at least probably know who has all the games in hand. You know what I mean? So we'll know if Leicester still have 3 extra games to everyone else. So you can probably gamble on the likes of Madison and Tielemans at that point, as we talked about. So um, I think, yeah, dead end 30, wild card 31 is quite popular. But yeah, I think if Dan is really unhappy with his team, and I'm sure other people will be in the same spot, then it might be better to do it in 26, like I say, and just do it. And you know what? You might make so much ground in the next 5 6 weeks that you can sort of take the disadvantage in 31. You know what I mean, and take it on the chin, sort of thing, because you're happy with your team by then.
We've only got one. The other tweet I've got is not necessarily a question, but Flower Pot Man asks us, how many double game week players do you aim to have in for game week 26, and how many would you say is like comfortable?
26.
Well, I think that there are some good single game weeks. So, for example, I'd want to still play Cancelo. I think he's got Tottenham at home, but I'd still fancy.
Yeah.
I'd want to play him in that game. I think Cancelo's kept cleans against Chelsea this season, Man United. Plus, he's got the attacking threat. I think like Tottenham at home's not gonna worry them. But oh my god,
What's happened, mate?
I thought Coutinho had scored again. 1 second, someone has just. Nah, it's not. It's not. It's not. Sorry, someone just shouted Coutinho to me, but I think he was just talking about earlier, maybe. But like I said, I think Cancelo's one you'd want to pick who's not a doubler, and I think Bowen's the same because Bowen's got Newcastle at home,
Yeah,
so
that's
I
a good
think you'd
shout.
want
Yeah.
to play both of them. You know what I mean? So I think almost the maximum doublers I'd want is 9, but I think you don't really want to go much lower than that either because I think I'd want to play them too. And let's face it, they'll be in a lot of people's teams. But then other than that, you're going to want 3 Liverpool, for example. I think you're going to want like Trent, Salah, and one other, as me and Sam and Tom talked about earlier. Um, and then like there's lots of other players. I like Rafinha, for example. I think he's a really good player to have in a double, just because you know he's nailed, he's on penalties. You know what I mean? I think he's a good one to have. I also think you want a double in goalkeeper. So like we talked about Saar, Ramsdale, Pope. I think you can't go wrong with any of them really. I think that they're all great, and it might be that you get the lucky one and you make loads of points on everyone that week if you manage to catch the right one in the double. I think.
Yeah, Arsenal have got the double there as well. Wolves and Brent. Is it Wolves and Brentford? It is, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah,
That's.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd like an Arsenal. An Arsenal triple for that week would be, maybe Ramsdale, Tierney, and a midfield option, or Ramsdale, Gabriel, whoever it is. I think there's viability there for that as well. Yeah. How many will you have, Josh? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm aiming to set up my main teams. I think I'm looking at like my top say 3 teams now, like who are all still doing all right kind of thing. I'll probably end up with 9 doublers plus Bowen and Cancelo, but I'll probably have to take a hit or two to get to that. So I think I'm more than happy to do it, to be honest, if I get up to 9 plus them too, because I think that becomes a really strong team then, to be honest.
You'll make
Um,
your hit points back through just the appearance points alone. So from each player, hope, and then if you're going to get anything extra, then it's a bonus, isn't it? So it's the most viable time to do it, isn't it?
the only ones that I think are an absolute nightmare are these Watford players we've all got hanging around because they've got a double in 26. So I'm reluctantly going to be holding them till then, I think.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to sell Josh King, to be honest. I think that's going to be my first move in 27. Like after this double, just get rid of him straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Dennis, and I left Dennis in. I'm quite happy to have him because he's just so cheap and sit as a third place on my bench potentially. But they've been useless, haven't they? Let's be honest, they've been absolutely useless for weeks, and I think we're all sort of tainted by that. I don't know who you captained in that double a couple of weeks ago, Josh, but I went Dennis with his -2 or whatever it was, and yeah, that was just painful, man.
Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have any Dennis. I just had King, but even King underwhelmed sort of thing. But I know
Yeah.
I'm one of the lucky ones without Dennis. But on Sky, I skipped that one completely. I just skipped the. I just couldn't bring myself to bring in King or Dennis for that one game that night. I remember it was just before overhaul, wasn't it? And I was just
Yeah,
like, I'm not doing this to myself. I'm not wasting a transfer on these guys. And I got really lucky with it, obviously, because Norwich ran riot, didn't they? But Yeah. At least we had Pope for the one at the weekend, the 0-0, wasn't it, for the Watford game? Because I think if I'd have had another Watford player, I would have lost the will to live on that one. I think if I'd have had him on Sky as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'd had Dennis actually for quite a run. I'd had him for his good run. I picked him up before a lot of other people, so I got quite a bit of value out of Dennis, both in Sky and in FanTeam. Um, and I said I'll leave him for now, leave him till the double, and then go from there. If Brozier's looking good, then could potentially bring him in as that sort of third striker spot.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself because I was so sold on going for Broyo at the start of my wild cards, but yeah, just the injury doubt put the seed of doubt in my head, and I went Dennis. But yeah, I'm regretting that one at the moment with his goal against Tottenham. But yeah, what can you do?
I think you made the right call still, mate, because like you said, it looked all the word was that it was quite a serious injury initially, wasn't it? And then obviously it starts to come out afterwards that it's not, but you made a good decision there. So
That's the Twitter rumor mill, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Had a
yeah, Twitter
serious knee
rumor mill.
injury. Apparently, was one of the tweets that I saw, and he'd be out for months, and he's playing today.
Yeah.
So yeah, what can you do?
I think that sums us up, doesn't it, Tom? We've had a
Yeah,
that's a big old run.
that's it for our questions. We've done an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, hopefully everyone's enjoyed that. And yeah, thank you so much again, Josh, for coming on. Really appreciate that, mate.
No, don't worry, boys. I've loved it. Thanks for having me. It's been great talking about fantasy football for an hour and a bit, like you say. It's nothing better,
Hopefully,
is there?
oh mate, brilliant. No, hopefully we can get you back in the future, Josh, if you'll come back on.
Always happy to, mate. Hopefully, I'm doing better in one of the future weeks where you have me on, so we can talk about some even more positive things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, lads. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
boys.